Good morning, everyone. How are you? And welcome to the Mental Health Warriors. This is my premiere first time up doing the Power Hour of Self-Care. And I have a wonderful guest on today, and her name is Kat Berard. And I can't wait to introduce you to her. I'm waiting for her to join me. Kat, can you hear me? Hi, can you hear me? Are we having technical difficulties?
There we are.
Oh, there you are! We made it!
Good morning.
You wouldn't believe the technical difficulties I had out in the greenhouse. It kept cutting out. My internet is not strong enough to do the video and everything. So I'm back.
I get it. And in my world, internet, electronics do their own thing. So I'm like, here I am. And
yes.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I expected that I'd be a little nervous. And part of the fact is that it's always about, electronic stuff that makes me so out of place with stuff. Talk about being on the right platform about mental health.
I love it. And I could hear you.
God.
I could hear you as you're preparing. And all I wanted to say to you was, okay, Annette, just stop.
Breathe.
Just take a breath. It happens.
Adam's gonna have a great laugh about this.
It's like it happens. It's okay. It's just what it's supposed to be.
Well, that's a huge part of some things about my self-care is I forget to be gentle with myself and just go with the flow and don't worry about all these kind of little glitches, right? So anyhow, I have to start the intro and I'm trying to figure out, okay, so I'll be back in a few seconds. I'm going to start the intro.
You do what you need to do.
Okay, honey. I don't know if this is playing.
Everyone
did it play?
Can hear you. Nope. It says I just got a message saying you're in the show. Everyone can see and hear you.
Well, you know what? I don't understand what I'm doing wrong. So Adam has been such a great help, but doing stuff on my phone causes also kerfuffles for me because it's a different layout. Yes, but can you see us live? Can you see the intro when I touch the intro banner?
All I know is I see the two of you talking.
Yeah, but it's
side by side.
It's supposed to play a banner.
But that's okay because you're supposed to tell everyone and then you will put the banner with it. It's okay. It's just what it's supposed to do.
It didn't work. I don't know why. Anyhow, we're going to try it the next time, I guess. Yeah. But everyone, welcome. And I would like Kat to introduce herself. She is a woman of many, many skills and dear friend of mine. And I'll give you the floor. She's probably better at this than I am.
Oh, no. You know what? We're the best that we can be, and nobody's better than anyone else, first and foremost, sweetheart. So here I am. I am blessed to be a part of this. I'm so excited. I'm so pumped. And this is my very first. I can't even pronounce the proper name of it. I'm like, it is what it is. Here I am. And like Annette just said, we are very dear friends. And we go back a long time. And we both have been on a spiritual journey and a healing journey, for that matter. And so when I think about you, Annette, I want to say you're doing a fantastic job, first and foremost, because I have seen the leaps that you have made, and I'm so proud of you. You stay
Thank
focused even though that you struggle, but you keep going through this. And that's the first thing that everybody needs to realize, is that we keep going, and we have to have a community in order to do that.
Yeah. And I love this platform with the Mental Health Warriors to do that, because the topics that they cover and the people they have on the show are just so amazing, like from psychiatrists to people with eating disorder. They have a lady that does talks about that, and just so amazing the conversations we have, and so so informal and friendly and outgoing everyone is. And
Mhm.
I'm blessed to have been introduced to them.
Well, there's always a reason, right? So
Yeah,
let me
absolutely.
introduce myself, and it's interesting that you say there's a lot of tools that I have in my toolbox, and that's what I talk about. So I started my journey many, many years ago. My background is a developmental service worker. So I used to work with individuals with disabilities, and that brought me to a path that has been healing for many. And I opened my doors to passion for healing, spirituality. I am a minister in the United States of America, and I'm in the middle of my reverendship for the Spiritual Church of Canada. And that is about the faith, our belief system. I needed to have that. I missed that. So I brought that into my toolbox. I am a death doula, so I assist people with transition, end of life practitioner. Their journey is about transitioning. I took the tools that I got from Death Doula to place into my practice at Kat Berard Just Breathe Incorporated, because we have to grieve naturally to move forward. So as you are in transition of death, you're releasing and letting go of fear and making room for new life. So I took that and put it into my practice. So I do spiritual life coaching. I'm a Reiki master, so I do emotional healing and surgical Reiki for those who have physical ailments that they need relief from. Reiki does not cure everything, but it will give you relief in order to take a breath. Hence the reason why part of my business name is Just Breathe, because we have to just breathe. So I'm a meditation facilitator. I don't know if everyone knows this. I connect with spirit. I connect with divine. I connect with my higher source, pure source. And so I get a lot of messages from spirit of past loved ones, and messages that need to come from our loved ones that are present in order to help that person with their healing. I also do ceremonies, clearing ceremonies. I clear land, I clear homes, and I assist people in clearing the energy that is not necessary, and to bring them to a higher vibration of loving themselves.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
I have had the privilege of being with Kat when one of our friends was passing away.
Mhm.
And I have to admit, you being there supporting them must have been paramount for the family's mental health, because it's so, like, the person who's passing, please jump in and correct me if I'm wrong, but
No.
I haven't really had that much experience with passing, loved ones passing.
Mhm.
But when you were there and people could come to you, and the space you held for them, the care, the love that you showed to Jen and the family, it was so moving. And I felt that your presence was much, much appreciated and needed. So I can only imagine what, how that would help somebody's mental health, having somebody like yourself be there in that transition, in that moment. It's a part of life we don't talk about a whole lot because the living are afraid of it.
Well,
But
and then, sorry to interrupt. It's not
no,
just, um, how do you deal with it, but it's a part of those grieving stages.
yes,
And like you said, holding space.
right,
So usually death, people when they're in transition or they have passed away, there's a lot of anger that comes. How
yes,
can they die on me? Like, seriously, why are you leaving me? um, and you had experienced some of that, and I was blessed in order to become a person and not a practitioner during that process, because I was hired as a practitioner to
yes,
assist Jen in her passing. But after that moment was completed, I then had to become her dear friend that lost someone. And you
yeah,
experience that, and to allow myself to grieve and to bring that emotion to reality and to feel it it made me more connected to her than I ever thought I could be connected to someone else. And it
yeah,
was because of her that I opened my space. So I'm forever grateful for that journey that she held with me and continues to hold with me. Many times in spirit she comes. Many times I see her driving her little the little orange car that she used to drive, and it appears out of nowhere, and as I'm speaking to you, she's present and she's here and she's like, job well done, job well
yeah,
done.
yeah,
And it's
absolutely,
about honoring people and giving space.
yeah. And so, since this is my power hour of self-care,
Yes.
um, can I ask you about some of the things you do for self-care?
Mhm.
Like, for example, your children. I know
Yes.
they suffer from brittle bone, right?
Yeah. And
And
mental illness and mental illness.
yes, and I liked to know, how did you cope through all those years of having to take them to the hospital and all the tears and the suffering, and I can't even imagine what it would be like with one child, let alone two. So what did you used to do for your own self-care? Like, I know us, we would go dancing a lot.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that was a big huge thing of a release. But maybe share with the viewers other stuff that you used to do.
For sure. For sure. So even though that we spent all of my children's life traveling to sick kids for appointments and psychiatrists and coaches, I looked at it as it was time that was well needed. So out of all of the years, and I want to say, like, with my daughter, it was 16 years from the age of
Yeah.
2 to 18. I only accepted one ride from someone because my self care was, we were in a car for 2 hours one way and one way back. And it was listening to music with my children and talking about life in itself
Yes.
and laughing and crying at the same time. So that part of self care was going through that emotion with them.
Yes.
My car is my self care.
Yeah, you do
So
spend a lot of time in your car.
I do. And as soon as I get in my car, it is about, I put on music sometimes. Okay, I lie. 90% of the time. Um, I say 90% of the time because sometimes I just need to be in there. And it
Yeah.
is about freedom. It is about, it will take me where I need to go. I was very fortunate and able to, a part of my self-care was my resets. So those resets was I took my children across Canada.
Yes.
And as much as their mental illness was hard for
Hmm.
them, because I live life as let's just go. And it taught me that I needed to have a list. I needed to have a checklist for them because it was important. And where we're going to stay, what we're going to do, where we're going to get gas. So I
Yeah.
learned that. So it was teaching. But we camped. Nature,
Yeah.
fire, and cooking over an open fire and just being grateful for those moments.
Right.
You know, I know what my resets are. I know what my self care is. So self care is driving for me. My resets. I get on a plane and I go to Cuba,
Yes.
and I disconnect, and I know I need to disconnect. Having a beautiful shower in the morning, and I don't sit in a bath because sitting in a bath for me is sitting with all of the undesirable that has held space in my body. I want to wash it away. So I grab a handful of Epsom salts, usually eucalyptus or peppermint, and I throw it in the bottom and I rub my feet and I just let that scent come through me.
Yes.
And I allow that shower to wash away and release and let go.
Yeah. It's very soothing. And I know whenever I am down, and I remember when I was struggling um, a lot in the beginning when I stepped away from my career as a paralegal,
Yeah.
I would spend time in the shower and just let the tears flow. I would cry in the shower.
Yeah.
And sometimes I would even just curl into a ball and let the water hit me. And it just felt like the tears were going down the drain along with my worries and my fears and my anxieties. And yeah, I totally get the shower thing 100%.
And I a lot of my self-care too is like I eat cake. I eat pie. Like not I am not a small woman, believe me. Um, but that's a part of my self-care that I
Yeah.
can, but I don't do it every day. And I
Yes.
needed to, like, I used to eat chocolate every single day. And I knew that wasn't healthy for me. So I reached out to my community. I got hypnotized in order to take that chocolate every day out of my diet because my body was reacting in a negative way. So I
Right.
was like, okay, so self care, I needed to get hypnotized. I needed my own therapy, right? And I was okay with that. Um, and so once a week now, I have a piece of coconut cream pie and I love it. I was going to swear, but I know I can't. And I love it. But I've also lost 25 pounds
Yeah.
because it's not holding negative space in me.
Yeah.
I reward myself I boil the kettle and I have hot water every single morning. And people look at me like I got three heads. Why are you drinking
Oh
hot
my
water?
God.
I don't
Yeah.
put lemon
Our
in it.
housekeeper does that.
Yeah, I don't put lemon in it. I drink pure hot water. Why?
Oh,
Because it makes my body feel good. And I'm flushing away everything.
well, I think a lot of humanity doesn't have that um, ability to understand that the small, simple things that we do day in and day out can turn into a self-care routine.
Mhm.
Like, for example, I was sharing this with a friend the other day about I have this habit or this custom, if you want to call it, to never leave the house or come into the house without greeting my boyfriend and giving him a kiss. And it's
Yeah.
become like a feeling of self-care for the relationship. Like it extends beyond me because it gives us both joy.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't imagine a day without doing it.
Exactly. Exactly. And those become patterns, but it's a pattern that is not heavy. It's pure love, right?
Yeah.
And you know, and when we love ourselves, and we also, I mean, everyone, and you're not alone, struggles with that. It's just, we all struggle with that self-love, and then we find our balance and we move forward. And so, a lot of people, and I do every day, every single morning, I meditate for 1 hour.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I have a dog, and I don't even take her outside yet. She
Oh,
knows.
really?
We have
Yeah.
1 hour. I wake up and we have one full hour of just laying in bed and sitting in silence and
Yeah.
just being grateful that the fact that I opened my eyes. What's the day going to bring? Bring me an abundance of people that will bring me to a place that I'm passionate about for healing. And so, and then I go outside, and it's in the middle of the winter, and I'm standing outside in my bare feet. Why? Because I want to feel Mother Earth. And people are like, it's snowing outside. Today was snowing, believe it or not.
Yeah,
But
we had some flurries here too.
yeah, but I'm like, I'm standing out in the snow in bare feet. I love it. I
Yeah.
absolutely love it. So,
Mhm.
I mean, meditation, of course, I pull tarot cards or oracle cards as well, but I also, you know, I listen to myself and I go, okay, what do I need today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're standing outside, I didn't bother to check if there was anybody. Hi, Adam says hi. I wanted to try the comment section. Hi,
Oh,
Adam. I'm sorry about the banner. I couldn't figure it out. Anyhow, talking about standing outside in the snow, I myself am a grass person, like standing outside in the grass, and I'll do that in any temperature. And it's amazing the energy you feel go through your bare feet. Oh, just feels amazing.
I know. I know.
Yeah.
And
So
I do ceremony and I'm in bare feet. I like, everybody will wear their boots and I take them off in the
yes,
middle of the winter. And I connect with Mother Earth. I allow that vibration to come within me. And
right,
I don't feel the coolness. I feel the love. And I'm like,
right.
oh, thank you. You know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, when
Oh, where'd you go? Hi. Apparently, I'm supposed to be here by myself. Not. So I guess Annette's having some difficulty, and here I am. So let's talk some more about self love. And self love is, it's one of those things that everyone has a hard time going through. And the fact of, it's okay to reach out to therapists and
I'm
stuff.
back,
And we started to talk about self-love because I'm like, okay, apparently I'm supposed to be here by myself, wait until she comes back. So here we go.
you're the best. Oh my God, that's too funny. Um, where I was going to go was, when you're working with your clients, right? And the topic of mental health comes up.
Yep.
Do you get a feeling that people are being more and more conscious about self-care, self-love?
You know what? I will tell you that every client that I deal with, every
Hmm.
client, and including my own family, because I have many people that have mental illness in my family,
Right.
that um, that that is one of the most rewarding yet struggling things that they go through.
Yeah.
And I have a step program that Spirit has told me to work through. And part of it is, the first question I say, did you bathe today?
Oh yeah.
And that comment has set people into a spiral.
Interesting.
And I've gone and I've got a washcloth and I wet it with warm water and I'm like, wash your hands. wash your face.
Yeah.
I allow people that time to work through, I can't do it. And this is what I talk to you about and what I say about being a death doula, because that's one of the first things that they lose, their ability to wash themselves. So I will assist a client into washing their face or washing their hands, and then we together make a plan. There is no expectation on my side. I'm not going anywhere. So let's make a plan. What do you feel comfortable? Well, yeah, I should shower every single day. Okay, is that realistic for you? I say.
Yeah.
So today we're going to make a plan. Realistically, let's sit in meditation and let's sit and see what you can do with that. And they come back out of meditation and they go, okay, I can do it once this week. Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So that thought of, and it's breaking steps down and understanding as a practitioner that we look in and we have to understand that there's going to be days that the hardest thing is to remove dirty clothes in order to turn on a tap, in order to bathe yourself. It's easy for us to jump into a shower if we're in a high vibration. It's easy.
Yeah. But
And
when
so
our vibration is low, it's difficult.
Yeah.
It's very difficult.
And that's what makes me different as a light worker.
Mm-hmm.
And you yourself, I know that if you're working with somebody and you say, I need your support, my phone is never off, ever.
Right.
And
I still have that banner that you made for me.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. It's in the greenhouse, and I fixed it up last year because it was getting old.
Yeah. Well, talk about your age. Don't talk about mine.
That's
funny. It, right? So I've had clients who call me and they're standing outside their bathroom.
Oh, yeah?
And I'm like, okay, it's okay.
Yeah.
You're going to go in with your dirty clothes today? Perfect. You do what you need to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the power of water is incredible. It gives, life, we come from water too. I mean, our bodies, the percentage of our bodies is water. So self-care with water is incredibly healing.
And it's one of the scariest things for people.
Yeah.
And even to embrace somebody.
Yeah. Well, your logo of the trust, embrace, breathe, I love it because every time I see you, it's always that big embrace, that sigh, that big sigh from holding you. And then trusting you is phenomenal because you've given me opportunity after opportunity. I mean, I love your store. Tell us a little bit about your store and how that must be a huge self-care magnet for people because it's all about crystals now.
Oh, for sure. So when I opened my space, I opened it as a healing center. So it's known as a meditation center because I'm sitting in my healing room and it's open to people to come in and meditate. Just sit, read, have a coffee, do whatever you need to do, close the curtain. I know that you're safe, right?
Yeah.
And when I originally opened the boutique part of it, it was a bonus.
Right.
I looked at it as a bonus because I know the power of crystals. I know the power of holding something. It's extending, it's a part of a community. So I will often leave my healing room and I'm like, you need a rose quartz. Okay, perfect. I got it. And then people are drawn to this space. I have people that come from all over. And like Niagara Falls, I heard about your shop. I'm like, okay. And it is that caption, breathe, trust, embrace. They walk through the door. I Reiki infuse the space. So they get this instant hug. I have wings. I crossed over. So therefore I have wings. And my wings hold you. Right? And they walk in and I have crystals that are tumbles, the little tiny ones. I should have them with me. I do apologize. But they're $3. And I know, I'm told, my gut, and my daughter is now so open to that we can tell if that $3 is too much for somebody. I'm going to tell you a story that I had a young girl who was just embracing her mental illness and embracing the fact that she had control. A young girl. She was 9 years old. And she had already started her journey as psychiatrist and psychotherapist and heavy. Nobody's listening to me, she says. I'm like, I'm listening. And I sat on the floor with her. And amethyst is a powerful, powerful crystal.
Yes.
And I had a cathedral, and I got to grab it. Sorry. You just got to hold space.
Yes. And there she goes.
I'm sorry. That wasn't professional, but I sometimes just got to say, got to go with the flow. So here's an amethyst.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you. So this
I noticed that in the store the other day.
I know. I have a big one in my healing space. But so that is a powerful crystal.
Mm-hmm.
And this young girl loves amethyst. Every time she came in, she was drawn and drawn. Yeah. So she said, I had my birthday and I'm saving my money for a cathedral. I really love that cathedral. So I had another one in the shop. I won't tell you how much it was, but I knew in my heart she needed it because that amethyst gave her hope.
Right.
And I looked at her mom and I said, I'm sorry. I said, I'm going to ask her a personal question. She said, by all means. And I said, sweetheart, I said, how much money have you saved out of your birthday money? And she said, $140. And I really want that amethyst. So can you put it on hold? Can you do whatever?
Right.
And I said to her, I said, come with me. And I went into my shop and I took it off the shelf. And I gifted it to her. And, you know, she gave me her birthday money and I was grateful for that. And I said, thank you. But I said, you will never, ever forget the power that you spoke your truth, that you need to have that for your own well-being. And she held that amethyst walking through the streets of Coldwater just as if it was her baby. It was an extension of her. And she put it in the car. I watched her. She put the seatbelt on her. And Mom came back and was crying because I took time. And that's what my boutique is. I have crystals. I have other artists that, like yourself, that has gone through transitions. Mm-hmm. It is about healing. What tool do you use to bring light to your life and what we can do to others?
Yes.
So we have your coloring books, we have your cards, and that brings light to people.
Yeah. And speaking of coloring books, I'm going to step in here for a sec.
Yeah.
But I would like everyone to know that Kat is my dedication to, in my book, kindness. Mm-hmm. Because if it wasn't for her kindness, I would not have the life partner I have, who is another huge part of my journey with Kat. And so I wanted to share that with the viewers and let them know just how much I love you. Aww. And how much you have pointed me in the direction of my own spiritual mental growth. And, you know, I can't get enough of giving kindness or receiving kindness. And a lot of my self-care came from realizing that I couldn't do it alone. So maybe share with me a little bit about, like, I know your kids, like both of them personally, and I adore them.
Oh, thank you.
They must have been like your partners in life. What did they teach you about, like, caring for them? What did they teach you about caring for yourself? Like, besides the driving in the car, and like currently, are
It's
either one
the
of
list.
them
It's
what?
the list. So what did they teach me? What did I am like, okay, and I look at it like I grab something and I go, okay, I'm gone. I'm such
Right.
a free spirit, like, and they catch me all the time. So what have they taught me? They taught me that you need to plan, Mom. You need to plan. You missed this step, so therefore you can't get to that step. And I'm like,
Right.
I know, but, and they're like, but nothing. It's the list. It's the list. Um, and
Because I'm learning so much now from my own children, having them back in my life, that I had to actually, because they trigger stuff from my past, I had to actually take a mini vacation by myself as self-care to get my head back on straight.
that's your reset. It's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wasn't used to doing resets for, like, I thought, oh, I've got this all down to a pat. I color every morning, I journal every morning, but it came down to the point that wasn't even enough. I was overwhelmed.
Yeah. And you know, our children are simply that, right? They are our mirrors. They are the extension of who we are. So when
Yes.
I look at my children and because we all know that going through emotion with
Hmm.
depression or psychotic or schizophrenia or anything like that, that um, sometimes the you know the words come abrupt, the actions are abrupt, right? And I'm learning every day that sometimes I just need them to go through that, but there's also needs to be boundaries. So
Yes.
when I am doing something that's not a part of that list, and my daughter will come in and say to me, Mom, you got to stay focused. And I'm like, no, like I'm spinning. I'm spinning. I'm spinning because her mind is spinning. And if she doesn't have the list, then she can't focus. So we're
Right.
mirrors together. And I mean, our relationship now, and I had to step back. And it's one of the hardest things that I talk about.
Yeah.
So we had a beautiful relationship, and I say as like a beautiful relationship as in family,
Yes.
because even though that I'm divorced slash separated, right?
Mhm.
We always thought about our children. We have different parenting skills, but I was the core going through all of the heavier appointments, the diagnosis, because my ex couldn't do that. He didn't have a sense of community, even though that we had a partnership, but he didn't have that sense of community. So when I switched roles, when my children were starting adulthood, 16 and 18 and almost 19,
Right.
I offered the key because of my own mental health as a parent. Because I felt at that time when my son was 16 years old that I had lived life 2 times over. I was a
So,
parent and I
mhm.
was a practitioner constantly.
Yes. Yeah, you had to wear two hats all the time. I remember the stress you were under,
Yeah.
and we would talk, and you would come out to the greenhouse and visit, and share with me and I'd share with you. And I don't know about you, but that felt like that's that community you talk about, the going to be with somebody that you know that is understanding when you're going through so much. It's not measurable in sense of how much you can help one another's mental health.
And it's listening and holding
Yeah.
space.
Yeah, the two of us are so phenomenal in the same space, holding space for each other at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to ask you, when everything that you were experiencing through with mental health issues with your children, was there any stigma? Because of course, the mental health warriors are all about ending the stigma. Can you share with people about if you've experienced any stigma?
I have, and especially it was in the school system.
Oh, I'd love to hear this.
Right? So I would go to my kids' school
Mm-hmm.
and I would speak to the counselors and the principals.
Yes.
Right? And you know how trying my life was. So my daughter being diagnosed with OI, osteogenesis imperfecta, and my son EDS, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, they have no collagen in their bodies. So dealing with that, plus the mental illness, depression, separation, my daughter has no serotonin. Like the list was going on, and I would go to them and I would share. Listen, this is what just happened at home. Do you know how hard it was to get them out of bed? Do you know how hard it was to bring them here? And they looked at me and like I was like, what are you talking about? When they're here, they're pleasant. Then they're like, and my daughter said to me just recently, Mom, if I could get paid as an actress, I'd be a multimillionaire.
Oh,
because she learned very quickly in the school system that she had to play the innocent card. There was something wrong with Mom. There was nothing wrong with me in order to get pushed through school.
Yeah.
Right? Because it was like, I'm going to play this card. And they were trying their best to be sympathetic. And they offered some programs, but they also gave up.
Yeah.
Too, right? So, I pushed through that. I remember in high school, we met with a counselor, and my daughter wasn't doing any schoolwork at this time, yet she was getting 80s, and I was like, how the hell does that happen? Excuse me, sorry. And so I met with the counselor, and the counselor was doing her schoolwork.
Right.
So
why was the counselor doing
this? Oh my gosh, it's too much pressure for her.
Oh.
So, and she had to color a map of Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what are you doing? My daughter's name's on that. And so the stigma is that, yes, we need help. They need help. But you have to let them be real. You have to let people be human. So if you're lucky to have a job, speak to your boss and say, I can only come in 3 days a week. Don't do the 5 days, because my son went through that. But this counselor was coloring my daughter's map. So my daughter didn't have to do it because, every time she moved the pencil, her wrist would crack. I'm like, what are you talking about? There's programs. What are you talking about? And I was like, well, I'm going to make it easier for her. She's going to pass. And I'm like, whoa, wait a second.
Yeah.
So I work through that. And my kids are open enough now to say, I have mental illness. And so I'm not going to be perfect. And what is perfect? I'm going to be the best person I can be. Right? And so, we have a society that says if you're not labeled, or if you're labeled, then then that's okay. We're just gonna bypass it and let it go through. And it's like, no, people need to be human. It doesn't matter.
Right.
It doesn't matter. So if you're having a tough day, and a cold water itself, we have many people that suffer. And I say suffer because sometimes they're on medication, sometimes they're not.
Right.
And I can tell you an incident, and I have lots of stories just because that's who I am. But a gentleman that for his own safety, had called the police. His own
Yeah.
safety, not anyone else's, but his own safety, came into my shop, and he was on medication at this time,
Yes.
and asked me politely, but yet apologized because he knows that I had called the police. And he thanked me for that.
Yeah.
And I bought him a meal that day. And the community was shocked. I walked him into the restaurant and I said, whatever he needs, please let him have it.
Yeah.
And he respected me because I treated him like he was a person.
Yeah. So the main thing that comes out from your conversation to me is the stigma is that if you have a mental health illness or moment, whatever it is that's happening, that the people don't know how to respond to it positively. They respond to it negatively and try to put their own. I think we're all trying to do the best we can because it is frightening for, that we hear case after case and label after label about how people have been harmed due to someone's episode with mental illness. But your humanness to do that for your understanding for your daughter and your understanding to this gentleman are like I feel my heart flutter knowing that there are souls like yours out there doing these things for people, bringing awareness that, the stigma, they're not a label, they're not any less a human being for having a mental health issue. That's the message I get from your stories.
And it's so true. So when I started my teachings, people would stand beside somebody who had Down syndrome, for example, and they would talk to me. And I'm like, are you talking to me or are you talking to them? They have a voice, right?
I totally get that because you remember I used to look after an autistic man?
Yes.
And I had even my own ignorance when it came to people with autism and Asperger's and things like that. I mean, life kept giving me these people so that I would learn to be more kind and compassionate and to understand how human I am with my own views about labels. And I'm so grateful that I had him in my life for 5 years. And people don't know how human we all are, and to see that is part of I think the circle where we keep going back and not understanding the mental health impact it has on ignoring people like that. Like, talk to everybody, no matter who you are, face to face.
Well, and I'll tell you, I used to work at an institution and dual diagnosed, so schizophrenia and autism.
Yeah.
And one of my clients, when he was, and I'll say in an episode, quote unquote, right?
Yeah.
Not that I like to use that word at all. But when his second personality came out, he would stop me, physically put his hand up and say, stay there. Yeah. Or he would introduce himself to me and say, he's coming out, because the person that was a part of that schizophrenia part of his brain knew how to box, and he knew how to break somebody's nose. And he cared about me. And He stopped me. That was the type of relationship we had. He trusted me.
Yeah.
And we used to, and not that, I mean, it was a positive point in my life. We used to use mechanical restraints because these were individuals that were 3 times their body weight when
Oh, yeah.
they would have an episode. And even though we were using mechanical restraints, I let the gentleman do that, and I held the client with my own arms, and I told them, you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
You just need to be held right now. But because of safety and because they were still trying to figure out proper medication, it was
Mhm.
hard. It was one of the hardest things. But
Right.
I had the ability to look at somebody within and say, okay, they're going to trust me. I'm going to look
Yeah.
in their eyes and they're going to trust me. You know, I have a client that came in and I talked to the personalities. I talked to the other personalities. I'm like, give me a minute. Let me talk to them. Let me see if they trust me.
Yeah.
And that's what makes me unique is time, right? And what are you talking about? You want to talk to the person that wants to hit you? You want to talk to the person that doesn't understand you and is going to challenge you? I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, of course. Let's go. Because it's a piece of you. It's
You're
a piece
one
of
brave
you.
soul.
Thank you. But it's a
Yeah.
piece of you. And I
Yeah.
know deep inside there's gentleness, just like
Yes.
us, right?
Yeah.
And I want to
Well, when I
say,
was
sorry, I just want to say that, you know, our friendship and our community that you and I have built
Mhm.
is we have took both roles in our relationship. We have been the dearest friends, but we also have been the community that we both have needed in order to hold space. And I'm grateful, I'm very thankful for that because I know that sometimes it's very hard to bounce back and forth.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure we have hundreds of stories we could share,
Oh,
and
yeah.
you'll definitely want to come on again as a guest because I have
Well, thank
more and
you.
more questions. And but share with us a little bit, Kat, about where your store is, like in some more details, how people can reach you,
Okay.
and um, whatever else you'd like to add about your experience with self-care and self-love.
Okay. So, first and foremost, I'm going to go with that self care and self love. My journey itself, when I was going through some of the very toughest times, Louise Hay was a part of my
Yeah,
journey. And I
absolutely.
do that now as a book club with almost every client that I have. And then I do a book club every week and we work through those books. So it was about self love and self care, and you can heal your body and your
Right.
emotional side of you. Reiki, for sure. I do that all the time. I am physically located office wise in Coldwater, 30 Coldwater Road. In Coldwater, there's a 30 Coldwater in Aurelia. Please don't get frustrated. Just there's
Oh,
another one. Many people
there's
do it.
viewers from all over the world, so you have to say Ontario, Canada.
Yeah. But, I had a client that went to Aurelia and lost her mind on me because I wasn't there. But
Oh,
anyway, so I was like, okay, I'll remember that. We're not in Aurelia.
yeah.
So I am worldwide. I'm international. So I will reach anybody anywhere, physically or by Zoom or internet.
Right.
I'm currently doing a tour called 222. It's the healing journey. I'm
Yeah.
over, and I just have to update my website, but I'm over 200,000 kilometers of healing that I have done so far. I reached the
Yay.
Sacred Valley in Peru. I do a lot of work all over the world, all over the world. I am mobile, so I will come to you, not a problem. And telephone, Zoom, Facebook Messenger, Instagram, the list goes on. Just reach out. So, and like I said, this is my cell phone and it's never off. So, I don't know if Adam can put that someplace, but the number is 705-229-6979. I have a website, and I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, Kat Berard, Just Breathe Incorporated. There is, and it's talk about healing journey. So there's a Kat Berard in the States as well, and they do the same work as I do.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
There's a company called Just Breathe. They do the same thing as I do, and they have a boutique, which is amazing. So yeah, and you can find me. So I'm in the shop generally Wednesday to Saturday, but I am mobile. So the shop is always open Wednesday to Saturday, and in the summertime it's open Tuesday to Sunday. And and then you can find me. I just signed a contract with the lovely tea room and tea house, in Oro, and I'll there once a month to do healing work. So I'm all over the place, and I'll go wherever. And so I do talks, right? Like I am a speaker, and I do teachings, and I do ceremonies. So starting May, every full moon, I'm doing full ceremony that's open to the public.
Nice.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for today, Kat. I'm so appreciated. And it's been very informative. I love how you shared the part about the stigma and everything that you do with your healing practices. You are an amazing, amazing person.
Thank you. Same with you. Same with you.
And I don't know, last thoughts is I hope everybody enjoyed, and please follow. You can subscribe to the Mental Health Warriors. Just click on the link that's following along on the bottom banner there for YouTube, Facebook, and much appreciated for the time. I'm going to give it one more try to see if I can get the ending to go. If not, I will work with Adam on it next time.
Annette, you did it. You got the banner to work. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Breathe, trust, and embrace, my love. Thank you.
Absolutely. And love, kindness, and compassion to everyone.
Yes. Have a great day.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.